Now there should be 4 speakers with us, right?
One more speaker. So I think
Oh,
um, we're waiting for
I have
Med.
her on
Med,
I have her on the phone.
right?
She, she's trying, that's why I'm holding my phone. She's
Sure.
trying to get into the
Right.
session. She's
By
struggling.
by any chance, is she using a Mac machine?
Are you on a Mac?
Because I had some problems logging in as well. I was planning to log in much earlier,
She's on her
and
iPad.
right, because if she's using Safari, then I would suggest that she tries to use Google Chrome. It
That's
works better.
that's what
Yeah,
I
it works.
told her. I told her to use Google Chrome. That's what we've been
Right.
that's what we've been trying to do.
Yes.
He said you're gonna have trouble with Safari.
Because I was on Safari and I kept trying, and then I had to do a Google search to figure things out. But voila, here I am.
Um, Sanjay, maybe I should speak first while
Right,
you,
right.
you can go second. Like that'll give you an extra 10 minutes to figure this out. Does that work? Okay, I'm gonna have to hang up because I think we're starting now. Are we starting now, Sanjay?
It's 3:02. We're supposed to start at 3:05, so we have 3 more minutes to go.
Oh, we have 3 more minutes. I can hang out on the phone with you for another minute. So you don't have Google Chrome on your machine, huh?
You could download it. It might take about a minute to download, and that should help.
What's not allowing you to go? Oh, you are on Google Chrome now. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna hang up so that and you can breathe and you'll figure it out. You have an extra 10 minutes to figure it out. I'll go first. Yeah. Okay. We gotcha. Okay. Thanks. We'll see you in a few. Bye-bye. Oh, the poor thing.
Okay. So we got our fingers crossed, and we're hoping that Meej can join us in a while, and I'm sure she will.
Yes, and let me ask you real quick, am I gonna be able to share one slide or how's that gonna work?
No, we cannot share any slides, Lynn, as much as I would love to allow you, but I'm really sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I'll just talk through it.
Sure.
Would be much better with a visual. That's okay.
Great.
I'm a little dingy anyway. It's 2:30 in the morning here, so I'm a little.
No, I can imagine, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking this time off and being with us here today. So thank you for that.
No, it's fun.
And I can see that you have a nice furry creature at home to give you company, and I have a, yeah. I have my fellow too. Yeah, I have my fellow too. So I'm also hoping that he doesn't bark. I mean, I've told him, I've explained the rules to him, and I've promised him a few treats if he behaves. So
right. Yeah,
great.
and if they bark, they bark. What can you do?
Right. So it's 3:05, and our session is supposed to start at 3:05. So shall we begin, Lynn?
Let's go for it.
I think we're already streaming live.
Okay.
Great. So good afternoon, everyone. It's such a delight. It's such a delight to be part of the first ever Digital Women Economic Forum here today. And I'm sure all of you are as excited as I am. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker for today. And we will be talking about global women who are change makers. I'm sure there's a lot of key insights for us to take from the session. And like I said, I'm happy to introduce our first speaker for today. Ladies, everybody, can I please welcome Lynn Davidson. And Lynn Davidson, PhD, MPA, is the president of Lynn J. Davidson LLC, a company that assists nonprofits, foundations, and corporations that measure the social value of their programs. Until 2019, Lynn was the executive director of 2020 Microclinic Initiative, a nonprofit that seeks to improve health outcomes and maternal and neonatal mortality rates in low-income countries. She has over 30 years of experience in equity and inclusion policy, academic administration, political science, policy analysis, and international development, and has served as an independent consultant to many organizations on issues of equity, poverty, and microfinance. Lynn was named one of the 100 leading global thinkers by Foreign Policy magazine in 2016. She's a graduate from Northwestern University, has done a BA in economics and political science, Princeton University School of Public and International Affairs, MPA in domestic policy analysis, and University of Rochester, PhD in political science. Lynn lives in California, and she here is joining us today with her golden doodle. So welcome to the session, Lynn. It's such a pleasure to have you here. And I really thank you for taking time off to be here with us today. And I thank all the audience who's watching this. Thank you for your time. I know it's a weekend, and thank you so much for being here with all of us. Lynn, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sanjay. It's great to be here. We're going to talk about change makers today. And thank you for introducing my golden doodle. As I said a couple minutes ago, I hope he doesn't bark. If he does, please excuse him. He doesn't know better. Okay, we're talking about change makers today. And we're talking about change makers with a capital C. Who are those people? And how can we be one of them? That's the goal here for the next 12 minutes. I'm Lynn Davidson, as Sanjay told you. It's about, let's see, 2:38 in the morning here in Los Angeles, California. It's not my best time of day. Please forgive me if I can't get my words quite out. Yeah, this is a little rough for me at 2:30 in the morning, but I'm gonna make it work. So I have a few minutes to talk to you today, not long enough. I normally use about the first 10 minutes of my talk to tell jokes. I'm not going to be able to do that today. You're just going to have to take my word for it. Normally, I am hilarious. It's not going to happen today. You can
still spare a minute, I'm sure, Lynn.
We're going to get into it. Okay, by way of quick introduction, Sanjay told you a little bit about me. My company helps nonprofits and corporate social responsibility programs measure their social impact. That is, the value they're creating for the world. Essentially, I'm helping change makers measure their change. That's my goal. Okay, so we're talking about change makers with a capital C. That is a big word. It's a little bit intimidating, and I would never presume myself to be such a thing. I'd love to get there. I bet you too would also love to get there. Some of you are probably already there. I'm not going to speak for the rest of you, but here's what I think differentiates me from those change makers with a capital C. I think I'm a change maker with a small c. They have a really good grasp on what their guiding internal rule looks like. The rule that's formed out of their beliefs around fairness or right and wrong. They really get it. They aren't change makers with a capital C because they had a great idea about giving kids laptops or a great plan for cleaning up the ocean or for combating malaria or COVID or something like that. I mean, they might have those ideas too, but I think they started by grabbing onto something a little bit more fundamental. And I would like to talk about that today. I'm going to refer to that as our guiding star. You can call it something else. We all have one of these. Something that allows us to know whether something is good or bad, better or worse, a principle or an internal rule. something that defines us as change makers. I think that's our guiding star. Sanjay, I see you're nodding your head. So I hope you
I
agree
agree with you.
me.
I agree with
Okay.
you.
All right. So I'll give you a quick example from my life. And as I said, I don't think I'm a change maker yet. I'm working on it, working on it for a couple of decades. I think it takes a while to get there. So I used to work at a university, as Sanjay mentioned. I was teaching and I was working in university administration, and I was having a great time. I love the university life. Everywhere you look, people are smart and they're engaged and they're interesting. And that is so much fun. And as a university administrator, I was often asked to participate in, like policy making decisions. And we had some agreement. We had agreement about a rule that would theoretically have had an economic impact, a positive economic impact on faculty and staff. But it would cost the university a good deal of money. As I examined the policy more closely, I realized that those most likely to benefit from this policy would be those who needed it the least. It was really focused on being a financial windfall for our highest paid salaried workers. And the people who were, the lowest paid, the hourly workers, were not going to ever be able to take advantage of this new policy. The policy was great for other reasons, and the faculty and the staff loved it. I did not. It didn't line up with my guiding star. It just didn't. And I thought, well, we should be using this money for something else. We should be using it for student scholarships or something like that. Every dollar we were committing to meet the needs of this policy was one less dollar we could have used for something else. Ultimately, I couldn't support the policy, and there were so many like that at the university. So you know what I did? I left the university. Okay. There were a lot of these issues. I wasn't hasty. It wasn't this one thing. There were many of these, but it kept me up at night. These sort of issues kept me up at night. So I left this job that I loved. The social returns on investment for me, those social ROIs for me kept being wrong. I was creating policies to suit other people's guiding stars, not my own. They weren't wrong. They just weren't, they were wrong for me. So in other words, I was changing lives. I was being a change maker at the university, and you can do that at a university, but I wasn't the change maker that I wanted to be because it wasn't my path. It wasn't consistent with what I understood about fairness or right and wrong. So I left the university to try to improve maternal and infant mortality rates in rural Kenya. That was my path. I found a path that worked for me. It felt right because I was on a road that was lit by my guiding star. So, Sanjay, what's your guiding star? All right, I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'm not going to put you on the spot.
That's fine. I mean, that's okay. My guiding star is just as long as you're working from consciousness.
What we're looking for here is a rule that you keep bumping up against every time you go to make a decision. Something that impacts everything you do. Something that's so deeply embedded, you don't even recognize it, right? It's like breathing. Right? You bump up against this guiding star every time you go to make an important decision, but you just go through it. You breathe right through it because it's innate. It's part of you. Sometimes do you ever say, hey, I'm just going to go with my gut? You ever say that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
A lot of times. A lot of times we just say, I'm going with my gut. Doesn't sound logical. It doesn't sound logical to say I'm going, and everybody who's watching this today, you're all business leaders and you run organizations and you're doing big things and you're super logical, but you do go with your gut. And I'm going to suggest not that you shouldn't trust your gut. You absolutely should. What I do suggest is there's probably something else going on there that you may not be aware of. Something going on in your brain that is creating this feeling in your gut. And wouldn't it be nice to know what that thing is? You might find that what's going on there is your personal path to being a change maker. You're hearing from your brain that internal guiding star rule that's sending that message to your gut. It won't be like anybody else's. It'll be your own. So let's look at a couple of possible guiding stars. If yours is like, let's say yours is like the Hippocratic Oath, which in its modern interpretation is first do no harm.
right? So for a practicing physician, first do no harm can become so fundamental to who they are. This becomes their guiding star across all parts of their lives. Not just when practicing medicine, all the time. If this is your guiding star, when it's time to make a decision, your path becomes very clear. You choose the path where no one gets hurt. It's possible there are no big winners on this path, but you know that you've minimized the loss. That's what you're doing under the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. As a change maker for you, this means actively pursuing, looking for those paths that avoid harm. All right, let's try another one. If you could make a difference in someone's life, do it. That can be your guiding star. I kind of think that might have been Mother Teresa's guiding star. Not sure. Never had an opportunity to talk to Mother Teresa. But you can imagine, and who's going to criticize Mother Teresa, right? Who's going to criticize her? But she would have been on a different path than Hippocrates. They're not going in the same direction. Hippocrates is trying to avoid harm. Mother Teresa is actively looking to change lives. Oops, I just bumped a ball. Okay, they're going to be on two great paths, but different paths. I think many of our guiding stars, like those two, have a foundation in political philosophy. Aristotle had a guiding star. John Stuart Mill had a different one. Ayn Rand had a different one, right? We all have these political philosophies. There's countless of them. Mine sounds like it comes out of utilitarianism, which scares people. I end up in a different place. I have sort of a weighted cost utility approach. That's my guiding star, is very mathy. I'm very comfortable with math. I'm trained as a policy analyst. I tend to think in numbers. Everything in my life can be expressed numerically. I'm much more adept at thinking in numbers than in qualities. I'm not Rain Man. I have a very ordinary brain. It's just better at thinking in numbers than not. So a numeric approach comes very naturally to me. It feels right. At every decision point, I do my own Lynn Davidson version of a quick cost benefit or a quick cost utility analysis or a quick SROI analysis, a social ROI analysis. That is, I feel that my best hope for being the sort of change maker that I want to be lies in my ability to figure out how to best maximize the weighted utility for a community. And by the way, community also needs to be defined here. We don't have time for that today. So invite me back for part 2. We'll talk about the definition of community, because you can't be a change maker until you know how you're defining your community. For me, the community tends to be the world, but you might want to be a change maker for a village or a state or a province or a country. I like to think about the world. That's the only way I'm trained to think. I think if you're doing harm over here, you got to take that into account, even though you're doing good over here. That's my view. Doesn't work for everybody. Okay, we're going to run. Yeah. Right.
That's a great insight. And one of the key takeaways is that, know your guiding star, because the guiding star is yours to hold, to understand, and to work with. We still are waiting for Meej to join us in this conversation today. So I would be more than happy, to allow you to tell us a little bit more about the community aspect that you thought we could discuss in session 2. But since we're waiting for Meej, I would really request you to throw some light into, how do you define the community while you're talking about, policy changes, and you're talking about cost utility analysis. So where does the community play a part in this?
Yeah, so that's great. I didn't know I was going to have an opportunity to do that. Would you mind first, though, if I take you through this example?
Right, please go ahead.
All right, so here's the example. I was trying to think about how to do this without being able to show you a visual, but imagine with me. Okay, imagine with me, we have got 3 paths. We've got a path to the left, a path straight forward, and a path to the right. On each path, you have the ability to affect 3 people. Well, let's say 3 villages. 3 villages. Right. We could go 3 worlds. If we were going to do it my way, we would go 3 worlds. 3 villages. If we take path A, nobody gets hurt, nobody gets harmed. 3 villages. So that's sort of the status quo path. Okay.
Right.
Let's go to path 2. First of all, can you guess who's going to take path? I'm calling them path A and path 2. No, we don't want to do that. Path A, path B, and path B, I've got to look at my note here. In path B, we've got, again, the same 3 villages. The first 2 villages are affected negatively. Small negative change. And the 3rd village has a big positive change. Okay? Right. And then in the third path, path C, village 1 has a small negative change, but village 2 and village 3 both have a small positive change. I wish I could show it to you rather than you having to think this through. Okay, now imagine where Hippocrates is going to go. Hippocrates wants to do no harm. Hippocrates took path A, right? Nobody got helped, but nobody got hurt. Right. And that's consistent with a lot of political philosophy. That's great. Hippocrates went that way. Who's going to argue with Hippocrates? Mother Teresa, who wants to be sure to affect lives when she can, is going to take path C over here, because she could have a small positive change on 2 villages. Right. 1 village got hurt a little bit, but that's okay. It was made up for by the fact that 2 villages came out ahead. Putting myself in a world with Hippocrates and Mother Teresa. I'm sorry, that sounds incredibly arrogant. I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to take path B. 2 villages get hurt on path B, but they get hurt a little bit. The 3rd village comes out way, way ahead. Right. I'm taking that path. That worked out with my social return on investment. That's how that worked out for me. So I'm taking path B. Is anybody going to argue with Hippocrates or Mother Teresa? No. Perfectly legitimate. So everybody had sort of a nice idea in mind, right? Everybody had a noble goal, but everybody ended up in a different place. Right. So how do you use this guiding star to become a change maker with a capital C? My guiding star sent me back down path B. Hippocrates went that way. Mother Teresa went that way. How do we use that to be our own change maker? The fact is, you'll never be satisfied with your role as a change maker as long as you perceive that you're not living in accordance with your guiding star. That's going to keep you up at night. Right. So here's what I think you do. Say step 1. Mm-hmm. You got to take time to articulate and examine and understand your guiding star. If you don't know where to start, you know what I'm going to tell you? Read some philosophy. Nobody wants to hear that. You kind of either love it or you hate it. But everybody should do it. Everybody should. If you want to be a change maker, I challenge you to read a lot of philosophy. You need to read ancient philosophy, Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy. Then you'll start to understand what you're looking for. This is where you'll find the values that underline your guiding star, right? That's where you're going to be able to articulate what it is that makes your heart beat, that makes you want to get up in the morning and go do that thing to make the world a better place. You have to understand your values. There's all of these ways to look at the world, and somebody else's way is not going to work for you. You got to find yours. Step 2, now, what are we going to do next? I have figured out what my values are. I need to look at the project I'm working on right now. Is it on a path that's lit by my guiding star? If not, it's possible that you're following somebody else's path. It might be the guiding star of your board chair, or your funder, or your biggest customer. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If it was Mother Teresa, who was your biggest customer, you're not going to say, well, this is a terrible way to proceed, right? It's a perfectly legitimate way to proceed, but it doesn't mean that it feels good in your gut, because it's not necessarily consistent with your values. Other people's paths aren't wrong, they're just different than yours. Okay, so now we're on to step 3. Are you okay working in the context of somebody else's path? Can you temporarily adjust your definition of change maker to accommodate this other guiding star? If yes, make the adjustment, pat yourself on the back. You're now a change maker. You're a change maker by someone else's definition, but you still are one. Or is your gut saying, no way? Is it telling you you can't be a change maker, the one that you want to be, because your path is inconsistent with following those underlying values that you figured out when you were reading all that philosophy? Right. Nothing illogical about that, right? You're talking to your gut. Your gut's not really connected to your brain, but you know it is, because your brain is sending it messages all the time. You lose sleep, right? You're eating too much ice cream. You feel stressed out. And that is because you're not on your path. You're on somebody else's path. So it's time to move on. So whichever path you choose, now we're on step 4, whichever path you choose, stop every once in a while and recalibrate. Am I still on my path, or did I shift because of a customer or a boss or a shareholder? And if I shifted, does it feel okay in my gut, or do I need to make a change? the closer you stay to those underlying values. Keep checking back to those underlying values. The closer you stay to those underlying values, the bigger that C becomes. We all started as a change maker with a small c. We're trying to make that C bigger. We want to be change maker with a capital C. So you got to keep checking back to those values. And I think that's how you find your path.
Great.
Did Meej join us yet? Or is Meej still missing?
I think Meej might be having some technical issues, so we will definitely, at the back end, speak with Meej and see how we can,
Okay.
get her into another session. We will have to work that out in the background. However,
Okay.
Lynn, this has been really, really, really insightful. We spoke about, how to clarify your guiding stars. You told us about bringing clarity, thinking about community, and looking at the impact, because sometimes small steps can lead to big changes and sometimes big steps can lead to small changes. And it's a personal decision that you have to take for yourself. Lynn, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for this insight. Thank you for being with us at 2:30 a.m. in the morning. We really appreciate this. And on that note, we would also like to honor you because of the work that you do in this space. We would like to honor you with and present to you the iconic Women Creating a Better World for All Award. So thank you for being at the Women Economic Forum. This is the first forum that's digital, and we are creating history today. And thank you for being part of this history.
Oh, well, thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you. We see that, yes. Hi, Helen. Thank you, Lynn. And thank you so much.
Okay. Can I hang around and listen
Yes.
to the next session?
Sure. So you could log off now and then you could join us on one of our live streams and listen to the next session.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have a good morning ahead.
I'm going to go back to sleep.
Great. Good night then, Lynn. And thank you so
night.
much once again. It's been a pleasure. Hi, Helen.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon.
Good morning. Good afternoon in India. Yes, it's a nice, sunny, beautiful day in Bangalore city. And yep.
Fantastic.
Sorry,
it is a bright, sunny morning here in Surrey in the UK.
Right. So, Lynn, we just have to wait for a few minutes because we also have Emmy who's going to join us today.
Excellent.
So we'll wait for about a minute. And
sure.
So how's your morning been so far?
Really good. Yeah. I got up early to start listening to other speakers.
Right.
And I just think the way that this event has been organized, it's amazing. Just the whole digital platform, it works so seamlessly and you can connect with other people. It's really lovely.
Absolutely. I think we have 400 speakers across 50 or 60 countries. So,
wow.
Or maybe more. I need to get my numbers right. But yes, we are a whole big community out there. And we've just started our work. So I think it's going to be a great 2020. There is so much of collaboration happening. There's so much of learning. There's some amazing insights that people are taking away from the conference. And we just hope to keep the energy going.
Yes. Indeed. We can definitely do that.
Absolutely. So we will we'll wait for a few more minutes and then we will start.
Fantastic.
I was going through your profile and it's really interesting to see the kind of work that you do in the space.
Yeah. It called to me really.
Right.
I wasn't intending to go into it because my background is in human resources.
Right.
So, you would think, oh, surely you'd become a career coach, right? But,
right.
It almost goes back to what Lynn was just saying about, your guiding star.
Right.
I had to go with where my passion led me. And that's helping people with relationships, because I do believe that relationships are basically the key to living a happy life. Right.
And when it comes to relationships, sometimes, there is going to be conflicts. And I see that, talking about, how to handle difficult conversations or how to sometimes look at conflicts is the key to a healthy relationship.
Oh God, yes. Yes. And it's something that I struggled with for many, many years.
Right.
You know, and sometimes still do.
Well,
but
it's good, you know, because I think it's always work in progress.
yeah,
And I'm just speaking for myself. I'm work in progress, and I'm glad I am.
yeah,
Life would be boring. Life would be boring otherwise.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's always more to learn. But yeah, I'm excited to like be able to share what I have learned so far.
No, and we are equally as excited to, you know, hear your stories and gain some, you know, interesting insights that, you know, we could use as individuals on a daily basis, and see how we could, you know, work towards establishing, or should I say, you know, creating a more harmonious space when it comes to relationships.
Mm, mm, yeah.
So we're supposed to start at 3:30 as per the schedule. It's 3:31. It's only fair that we give it some more time, and hoping that Emmy can join us in the next few seconds.
Sure. Hopefully.
Right. There could be some technical issues, because I was facing a technical issue earlier, and I panicked because I'm, you know, because I'm technically challenged, and I've just about learned how to switch on and switch off my laptop, and I feel very proud of that accomplishment.
Yeah. Well, this is it, isn't it? You know, when we're relying on technology to connect, there can be all sorts of things that can get in the way.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm quite excited to, you know, see how we could really handle difficult conversations with confidence.
I think it's such a big topic, isn't it? Because it relates to like every area of life. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
I mean, primarily maybe people are here thinking, you know, it's about conversations at work, but of course it's conversations at home, it's conversations with friends, everywhere.
Right. My only worry is sometimes, how do you handle a conversation with your own self? Difficult conversation with oneself. You know,
Ooh, well,
that's a point.
if we get time,
That's a
we can
point of
talk
view.
about that too. Yeah.
Great. So I think we should start. It's 3:32, and I've again got my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that, you know, Emmy can join us in a while. And shall we begin?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, great. Um, very good afternoon to all of you once again, and welcome to the Women Economic Forum. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm sure you're equally as excited as I am. I would like to thank all the attendees who have taken time off and who are right now watching our session today. Thank you so much for being here, and we promise to make this interesting for all of us. It gives me great honor, pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Helen Snape. Helen is a certified transformational relationship coach who helps clients ditch people pleasing and teaches us how to say no, build confidence, and enhance our communication skills with the ability to be able to deal with conflicts. Helen has recently successfully launched a group coaching program to reach more women, and is on a mission to lead 1 million women into their power of confidence by 2030. A published author and a powerful speaker, Helen has been interviewed on BBC Radio for podcasts such as The 40 Stories, and been featured in Happyful magazine. Helen is passionate about helping women build boundaries, confidence, and healthy relationships. She's also helped those in non-traditional relationships, and as a trauma-informed coach who takes a very holistic, a very integrated approach to helping people understand the trauma or understand themselves. Helen helps women handle conflict and form healthy relationships in their personal life. With an extensive career in human resources, mediation, and personality profiling, Helen incorporates learnings that work in her coaching practice. So welcome, Helen, to the session. It's such a pleasure to have you here. And we would really, really like to hear your thoughts about how do we really handle difficult conversations.
Thank you, Sanjay, for that wonderful introduction. If I disagree with you, will you still like me? what is it that we fear about having these difficult conversations, and what are some of the key things that we can all do to handle them with more confidence? Hello everyone, I'm Helen Snape. I'm a relationship coach, and I help people that say yes to everyone else to learn to say no, to build their boundaries, their confidence, and have the best relationships of their lives. And the reason I do this, and that is relevant to this talk, is because at work, I used to be that person that if there was some work to be done, I would say, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. And I just said yes to everything. And I was constantly doing. And I feared any kind of conflict. I didn't want to go near, I didn't want to go near it. And the prospect of having difficult conversations, well, I didn't want to go there because I felt that I couldn't handle it. And that even if I did have a difficult conversation with you, I was scared that you would end up not liking me or disapproving of me. And I couldn't handle that either. And so I'm telling you this because I know what it is like to fear having difficult conversations with people. I really get it. And I know that things like assertiveness training, they have their place, but it's a bit like a sticking plaster. It doesn't provide a long-term solution. And I also learned a lot about adapting your communication style. And again, those are useful things, and we can talk about them later if we've got time, but they're kind of the icing on the cake. Like, you have to build your cake up first. And so what I want to share with you is 3 of the key things that I have learned that have really helped me build my confidence in being able to have difficult conversations. The first thing is about feeling our feelings. I used to think that if I just ignored how I felt and I just squished it down and I just pumped myself up and went out there, and then I would be able to handle difficult conversations. But you know what? It doesn't work, because other people can tell when what you're saying doesn't quite match how you're feeling. So they can tell that there is this discrepancy. And so it feels kind of dishonest in some way. And so what I had to learn was to really know what I'm feeling. Because I was so busy ignoring how I felt. So I needed to know that and own it. And then let the energy of those emotions fuel my actions. So for example, if I'm feeling really loving, then that is going to pull me forward. If I'm feeling really angry, it is going to push me forward. Now, this isn't to say that we should let our emotions drive the car, but neither should we lock them in the boot and ignore them. We need to take the time to slow down and get to the wisdom of what our feelings are telling us, so that we can own our truth and represent ourselves accurately to other people. The second thing that I really learned was that when I was trying to have difficult conversations, I was giving my energy away, because either I didn't want to be in the room at all, and therefore, even if I was still physically present, my energy would leave. Or maybe I would just give my energy away to you. Because remember, I was so used to referencing other people for my reality, because I was holding their opinions higher than my own. And so I gave my energy away, and I was a pushover. So one of the things that I have learned to do is to build up my core. Now, our core just runs from the crown of our heads right through down to our sitting bones. And one of the ways of building up your core is to learn to feel your feelings, because they are in our bodies, they're not in our heads. And really tuning into that core of us where we are most ourselves. And a second way of doing it for me has been to learn to pay attention to my core through physical practices like Pilates. So something like Pilates or the Alexander technique or ballet, it helps you to develop your core and to tune into it. And thirdly, it's by learning to speak from your core. So for me, you know, there's a difference between when I say no and when I say no. One of those carries with it my power and my energy. The third area that I really learned about was about the nature, the fundamental nature of conflict, and how it is really about unmet needs. When I trained as a
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
So yeah, no, the third point was is about the nature of conflict and unmet needs. Yeah. So when I trained as a workplace mediator, I learned that, you know, conflict is a normal part of every relationship, because we all have different needs and different expectations of each other. And it only becomes destructive conflict when there is an unmet need or there's a loss of some kind. So for example, if you say to me, you never listen to me, then I can take from that that you have an unmet need. You want to be heard. Or if, for example, you're really stressed out, then that might indicate that there's a loss of control somewhere. So you can tap into what might be the unmet need. And for me, this was about learning what my unmet needs were and me taking responsibility for getting them met and for accurately representing them to other people, whilst also holding space for their unmet needs and going from there. But it was understanding the fundamentals of it. And there are some people who won't express their needs readily. They would just get angry with you and criticize you. But if you can weather that storm and you can stay calm and then ask them, what do they need? Then they might just tell you, because they'll trust that you are there for them. So I want you to imagine that you are handling difficult conversations with confidence and with ease, and you're not afraid of conflict. You're not afraid of saying the wrong thing or of messing it up. Now, I know that the reality isn't always like that. We try to say the right thing, and we try to puff ourselves up by ignoring how we feel, and maybe by wearing a power outfit, which is nothing wrong with that. But if we rely on those things, then there's no foundation. There's no foundation for our confidence. Because the reality is, when we've disconnected our head and our heart, we don't know what we feel, we don't know what we need, and we give away our power and our energy. But what we can do is we can learn to feel our feelings, to own them, to accurately represent them, to build up our core, hold on to our energy, and then be able to communicate our needs and hold space for other people's needs. And it is all about really knowing ourselves and trusting ourselves as the foundation for our confidence. And I suppose I'd like to leave, everyone listening with the question, what is it that you are going to do to become more connected to yourself so that you can have more confidence in difficult conversations, and in fact in any conversation. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Helen. That was really, really insightful. You know, the three steps that we spoke about, which is, you know, first you need to own the feeling. And I think that's really powerful, you know, I mean, owning the feeling first, and then about your core. And I was very happy when you spoke about, you know, ballet, and you spoke about the Alexander technique, because in this lockdown, I actually decided to work on my core, and I actually am exercising every day since the past 20 days, and I can tell the difference now. So thank you for that insight. And of course, the third point that you made was about the unmet needs. But I'm sure all our attendees today, all the participants who are watching us live, you know, feel exactly the same way about how they could use these 3 pointers and learn how to have better, difficult conversations. Helen, it's been such a pleasure, and thank you so much for your time. You know, for the amazing work that you do in your field. We at the Women Economic Forum, you know, would like to honor you with an award. So we have an iconic woman creating a better world award that's waiting for you, and it will reach you in your email, since we are now living in a digital world. So you will receive this in your email, and thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure, and thanks for all the insights.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and have a lovely day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Meej. Meej, you're on mute, so may I request you to please unmute yourself. Helen, thank you, and you could continue watching all our sessions, and thank you once again. Hi, Meej.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good.
We missed you in the previous session.
Oh, yes, but thank you for allowing me. So I appreciate that.
No, we wouldn't let you go anywhere. You know, we are, you know, so
I
we wanted...
learned some technology today.
Great, because so did I. I mean, I was having an issue with my Mac machine, and I didn't know what a pop-up, how to unblock some blockers. And then I panicked, and then I realized that my team had actually told me to just go to Google Chrome, and it's all going to be sorted for you. And that's
I went to Google. Yes, I went to Google Chrome and still wouldn't let me. But it doesn't matter. You know, I'm here and I'm ready.
Absolutely, absolutely, great. So, should we begin?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Meej. So once again, hello everyone, and welcome to the Women Economic Forum Conference. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the first time that we have gone digital and all across the world. So this is being streamed everywhere possible, and it's a proud moment for all of us. It gives me great honor and pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. And I'm very happy to introduce Meej. Meej believes in the possibilities of joy and wellness. And while she does not undermine that there will be obstacles, but it's just a speck of a moment, because when we shift, or what we can shift and alter is through our skills, we can, because if we can go off track, then we also have the skills to bring us back on track. That was one of the most beautiful videos that I watched of Meej while I was trying to do my bit of research on the topic. And I found that very interesting, is that obstacles are just a speck of moment, and we can shift and alter this as much as we can alter, you know, going off track. We can also alter being on track. Meej specializes in human relation development for helping optimize performance, productivity, benefits, and rewards of relationships. She helps us understand interactions, business negotiations, and lifestyles that lead to success at work, home, play, and the overall physiological and psychological health and wellness. One of her signature program is Meej LLC, which has a very strong foundation and works on a surrendered approach to managing stress and managing anxiety. Meej is a certified counselor from NICA BIM, National Institute for the Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine, has done her master's from Rutgers Business School, and is a certified professional coach from IPEC. Welcome, Meej. It's such a pleasure to have you here all the way from New York City.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Like you said, I am Miji, and I come to you from the United States of America. So thank you for this most wonderful opportunity. I am truly delighted and honored to be here with you today. So thank you everyone for joining, and thank you. You are just the most fabulous host. So thank you, gracious, very gracious. So my topic today is global women who are change makers. Well, I believe that global women who are change makers are women who some way, somehow manage to what I call entrepreneur their soul, right? And these extraordinary women who are with their creative actions led them to just engage and making positive contributions towards that resulted in the betterment of humanity, right? So we have exceptional examples of women change makers whom throughout history have courageously followed their passions and caused breakthroughs that impacted the world. We have people like Amelia Earhart, Frida Kahlo, Anna May Wong, Marie Curie, Madame C.J. Walker, Vina Mazumdar, Kamla Bazin, Malala Yousafzai, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Nancy Ward, Cecilia Chung, Gloria Lucas, Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, Queen Latifah, Nazir Yemedi, Nadia Murad, Mother Teresa, Greta Thunberg, and our very, very, very own Dr. Harbeen Arora. So I wanted to take a minute just to mention names that were diverse, because we're all over the world, right? But the list goes on, and there are thousands of women right here on these audiences and all throughout the world who are change makers. So what makes them change makers? Are they born this way? Well, according to scientific research from changemakers.org, right, it's just an organization that focuses on that. They did some studies and they found out that changemakers have certain common characteristics and traits that identify them. So among them, they found that changemakers are personally connected to the issue that they contributed to. That means, that it's meaningful to them, it's dear to their heart. So that they solve a challenge, somehow they became personally vested in taking action. They were motivated to take action, right? They found that intrinsic motivation within their hearts just to do something. And they were creative, innovators, visionaries. So I did a little bit more research and found out that a publication of Evansville.U suggested that, yeah, it's okay to do good, but this is not just everything, right? That these people who are change makers, these women, these people, they had something more, and that they had the ability to just go ahead and use their skills to build new structures, to influence and guide people, to make impact, through investing, creating opportunities, creating relationships that bear fruit, and innovating through offering direct or indirect services. So who are these people who will be our change makers in the world? Well, here's the thing. That's all of us. That is all of us, because I personally believe that as part of the human race, we all have that social responsibility to ensuring that we make positive contributions, sound contributions towards humankind during our time here. The good news is that I believe that we are all born in greatness, with greatness, and for greatness. And that I believe that that our job here, it's that we do everything that we do in love, with love, and for love. So, and that once we do that, we can't but succeed. I mean, we just can't but succeed, right? So this past week, as I began to prepare for this talk that I would share, I wanted to share my concept of entrepreneuring our soul, which incidentally for me, I believe that it's not only our responsibility, but it means to, that it is our way to succeed at work, at home, at play, in the community, right? In the world. So, I also believe that it is that this entrepreneuring of our soul is a foundation for us to find that physiological and psychological health and wellness that we seek in our bodies. So I came across a beautiful quote from Hilmi Quraishi, and where it said that the first law of social enterprise is your heart. And that was fabulous because I talk about, you know, entrepreneur and the soul, the heart. So this beautiful notion, it just bears just credibility to the fact that there is so much more that like we hold that greatness that makes us succeed. So if we are born equipped to succeed and all we have to do is entrepreneur our souls, then how do we do that? Well, I think that by taking our dreams, our desires, our skills and passions and our vision and our meaningful causes and just simply engaging with them and in them, we can start by crafting motivational, empowering, energetic journeys that provide us with sensory stimuli that produce a delight and warmth within us that would consequently generate feel-good emotions, right, within us. What better than feeling good? So when we're basking in the delight of our emotions and we embody them and we surrender to those emotions and allow them to bring forth the uniqueness of our expression, right? We allow them to, by allowing ourselves to preserve the integrity of our identities and freely express them through movement, through innovation, through creativity, through relationships, and focusing internally on self-assessment, on introspection. Now, while tuning out the rest of the world, just forget about it, right? I think that that's a start. So I actually have a specific process that I've developed as a result of my own personal journey of entrepreneuring my soul.
We have, sorry to interrupt, we have 2 more minutes to go, Miji.
Okay, so well, you know, we just engage in education and self-assessment and skills development and sensory hands immersion and actionable goal setting and energized road mapping, you know, just a path. And then we implement it, we assess it, we practice it with joy, then we duplicate it. So I've made this bold statement that we all have a social responsibility to becoming change makers. I've said that all we need to do is entrepreneur the soul. And I've gone as far as suggesting how to do it. So what I am going to ask you now is, what is it that you're going to do with your dreams, with your skills, with your passions, with your greatness from within? What kind of intention will you set for yourself? What kind of commitment will you make? What kind of changes, a change maker, will you become? Okay, how will you entrepreneur your soul? Will you engage in prevention and education, advocacy, intervention, training, collaboration, innovation, or co-creation? And what social issue will you help solve with the greatness that is within your soul? In which way will you enterprise your soul? I am Miji at your service, and thank you so much for the opportunity. This has been wonderful, and the world awaits the greatness that you guys are bringing. So,
thank you, Miji. It's been such a delight to have you here, and I think entrepreneur the soul is something that really struck a chord. And I'm going to really process this once I get down and get my coffee and my cheesecake, because that's what I'm feeling motivated to do right now. But, you know, entrepreneur the soul, I think that's that's so powerful. And of course, yeah, it's food for thought, like literally food for thought in my case. Thank you so much.
No, yeah, thank you so much for that feedback, because I truly feel that that is it. We need to teach the world how to entrepreneur their souls, and we'll have great successes. So thank you.
And Miji, for all the work that you do in the space that you do, you know, we at Women Economic Forum would like to honor you for, you know, for all the accomplishments and for all the interesting work that you offer to everybody around us. So for that, we would like to honor you with the iconic Women Creating a Better World for All award. And this will reach you on your email. So thank you from India, and thank you from everybody who represent Women Economic Forum today. We thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. And we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessings. Bye.
And thank all the attendees for having joined us today. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead. See you.
Thank you.